Hello and welcome back to a new Rage Gaming video. My name is Hollow and this time we're talking Watch Dogs Legion, the upcoming Watch Dogs game that we were lucky enough to get early access to thanks to Ubisoft. So after putting a bunch of hours into the game, I can say there's a lot of mechanics that are very unique or cool here, but they can be a bit overwhelming if you just dive in blind. I thought a bunch of tips for new players with information I wish I'd known from the start would make for a useful video, so let's get started. Right, so there's a lot of new mechanics at play in this sequel, but obviously the major and coolest is probably that Legion aspect. You're able to recruit and play as literally any character you see in the game, and they all come with their own strengths to make use of. Understanding what these are and how this whole thing works is really important. The operative types actually impact the gameplay on a passive level. Construction workers are ideal when you're infiltrating construction sites. Police for police stations, doctors for hospitals, and so on. There's a wide roster of characters with different day-to-day jobs, which are extremely useful and you should be taking advantage of. Plus, depending on the strength of your character, you can lean into your preferred playstyle. Drone experts are able to make more use out of drones in an area. Spies get unique stealth options like silenced weapons or quieter footsteps, or you can just go straight hitman if you want direct combat. To find the characters of the type that you're wanting, you need to head to the locations that make sense for that archetype. Camden is going to be full of tech types. Brixton has DJs and street artists. Hyde Park is a good spot for athletes, and of course, the elderly. All players' ideal operative. Those are just 3 examples, and it's usually obvious where you go to find the right person. You'll find doctors from a hospital or spies by government buildings. If you're playing on permadeath like I am, then you're going to want a nice roster of operatives and probably a backup version of each just in case. Alright, so moving on to some hacking specific tips. If you quick scan, which is right stick on the controller, you quickly reveal all tech and potential hack targets through walls. This way you can identify drones, cameras, and jump on them from long range and start messing around with traps or distractions. As soon as you get good at this mechanic, gameplay becomes very smooth and you'll see how impactful it really is. While you're at it though, arming traps in an area is extremely effective whether you're in combat or in stealth. Just activate a few of the traps around the different areas and watch the enemies trigger them for those instant kills. You can do that while you're on a drone or a camera, but if a trap goes off during stealth, it won't instantly trigger combat. It's only when they eventually find the body that they alert everyone, giving you some time to react before that can happen. However, if you are in mid-combat, you can also hack enemies directly to jam their weapons or shock them for an easy takedown. These are on short cooldowns, so you should absolutely be making use of that. But finally, you can also hack while driving. For example, you can quick hack other vehicles and have them go off in a different direction, which is ideal when you're doing a high-speed drive, and instead of dodging the cars, you just force them to get out of your way. The way you can interact with the world through hacking comes in a lot of subtle forms, like raising barriers to prevent chasing enemies, or just opening a door or a gate. Whatever it is, you can interact with tons of stuff around you, so take note and experiment. Next, let's talk robots. Firstly, the spider bot is incredible. It's a major addition to the series, so definitely don't sleep on this one. Sure, once you upgrade it, it can be useful with different abilities or used in direct combat, but baseline, it's actually able to open the many terminals or access key points instead of you having to physically go do it yourself. This is ideal during stealth and makes a lot of difficult situations easier, especially on a harder difficulty, without actually risking your operative directly. It took me way too long to realize I could do this with my spider bot. But on top of your spider bot, there's also 3 types of drones you'll find out in the world: cargo drones, news drones, and parcel fox drones. Cargo drones can hold your weight, but you can hijack them and use them to transport your character if you jump on them and soar through the air, ignoring any restrictions. You can do this to get on top of a rooftop, or a hidden place is really easy to go get collectibles or currencies, or just scout out an area from up in the air. It's very cool. Meanwhile, during most combat or missions, news drones will casually show up to record what's happening. And if you quickly hack one of these during combat, you can actually use them to get a good idea of where enemies are, distract them, or with the news drone specifically, flash the enemies in a wide area around the drone. That actually CCs them and gives you easy knockouts or easy escapes from a bad situation. Lastly, parcel fox drones you can see flying around the world at low heights. Often they're carrying packages that can contain collectibles, which is useful for collectors, but also you can have them drop the packages to distract enemies or grab currency from them. Speaking of currency, currency, it's time to talk about some money tips. As you probably know, there's a lot of customization in Legion with all that clothing and the accessories, and I imagine you're going to want to check that out and unlock piles of it. This all costs ETO, the currency of the game, and you can collect ETO through main missions, but you can find absolutely tons of it through the side content of the game. Safes, for example, can be found in restricted red areas, so look around. ETO skimmers can be found all over the place in secret areas or just out in the open, and you can hack those from a distance so you don't need to directly go to them. Those Parcel Fox drones also have ETO you can often steal, and then any side stuff like, for example, bare knuckle arena missions can be completed for rewards should you win. But on top of that, there's also operatives who generate more money for you, like lawyers or CEOs, and they can be found in the city center. So if you're working on your money, definitely recruit some of those. Finally, here's some general tips to cap this off. As is the case with many games with an open world, I recommend you focus on the first few main missions before you do any real side questing or exploring actually. This unlocks many of the core main mechanics of the game, allowing you to recruit new characters for the different skills or things you just can't live without, like fast travel. So I would say don't do any real side stuff unless you randomly come across it before you've done the main missions that unlock the main mechanics, which doesn't take long. You should also know about the Captain Archetypes. These are stronger enemies who can call for reinforcements. You can see them by the banner they have around their health bar. Basically, these are the enemies you should always be checking for before you enter an area, and then hunt them down first to make things easier and prevent things from getting messy if you do get spotted. And on that note, I definitely recommend you upgrade your starting pistol as soon as you can. This lets you equip a suppressor, making silent range takedowns possible, which certainly makes stealth sections easier. However, if you do get spotted during stealth, there's a really cool mechanic where if you keep your hands out and don't pull a gun and just fight in fistfights, they don't take you quite so serious, and you can actually knock out multiple enemies in hand-to-hand combat before then returning to stealth once you've taken them down. If you don't force them to pull out a gun, they often won't, preventing any gunfire going off and drawing the attention of every enemy in the area. I think that's such a cool mechanic. Lastly, the auto drive feature can be pretty useful if you're lazy as hell and you just want to AFK or not pay attention. But actually, while you're doing an autopilot auto drive, you can actually be profiling potential recruits as you drive past, or even hack a drone and have that follow along, hacking any ETO skimmers for cash. It's really cool and a chill way to work on different things while you move around objectives. But there you have it, my roster of tips to help a new player get going in Watch Dogs Legion. If this helped you, hit like to help with the old YouTube algorithm. I basically wanted to make this video because I found that the more you lean into the unique mechanics this game has to offer, the better it is. There's some cool combinations of gadgets you can pull off later in the game after you get some upgrades that I'm experimenting with right now. But if you want more general information about the game, I'm going to be releasing a Should You Play very soon. In those videos, I talk about different aspects of the game and what I think of them, the story, the characters, the main gameplay mechanics that stand out for good or bad, and give an overall opinion of the game to give you a good idea of whether it's something you should play or not. But until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.